All right, guys. Good afternoon. Welcome to another Tech Tuesday. Michael and Israel here. Um, it's a hot day,
Mhm.
but making it through. Everything going smoothly.
Yeah.
Moving some pontoon boats around. I saw we got a couple of shipments in of pontoon boats, and looks like at least a quarter to half of them sold over the weekend. It seems like, but
Yeah.
just staying busy.
Yeah. A lot of. I think we're pretty much out of places to park boats for service, so let's start putting them outside the gate, I guess.
Uh, well, we need to start stacking them on
And
top
I've
of
even
each other.
been working on stuff, so I had to go
Ooh.
take a race boat out today.
Yeah, I saw that thing hooked up to your truck.
The Mirage Pickle Fork.
How fast you go?
This it only went 85 today because he was trying a smaller prop because he's having problems getting out of the hole. And then
Okay.
I figured the problem out with getting out of the hole. Now it comes out of the hole like a raped ape, and it's like, and then you're at 85, and you're just sitting there.
All right.
But for that kind of speed, that boat sits. I mean, it's like Cadillac. Just
It's a little like catamaran
yeah,
type deal, right?
super
Yeah.
sweet,
It's a legit,
sweet little
legit
ride.
race boat, not
Yeah.
a
Oh yeah.
not a bass boat that somebody stuck.
I got somebody bringing me a 30 or 31 pitch prop, and I think it'd probably go about 105.
Well, wear a helmet and a life jacket. All right, guys.
Definitely a life jacket.
If you've got questions, please drop them in here. As always, this goes. It's a lot more fun when we're answering your questions. Otherwise, I'm going to have to jump into some of the groups and pull a couple questions. And they may be good questions and good information, but if it doesn't help you that are watching, then it kind of defeats the purpose. So please drop us a line and let us know what we can help you with today and help you figure out. I don't think there's anything else very major. I mean, we're in the stride of all strides of the season. I know I'll reiterate, see a lot of boats getting picked up and not a whole lot of moving through the internet because, well, they're pretty much sold by the time they get here. So been talking to a number of the manufacturers, I know, the last couple of weeks, and this trend seems like it's going to it's not ending anytime soon. So but everybody's trying to get everybody what they want. So all right, well, let me go find a question then. Super complex one here. This was in the Yamaha group. Anyone know the head bolt torque specs and sequence on a 1990? Is that a Pro V 150 LD?
I guess. Yeah.
So
Yeah, the D would be the year model. So
I mean, obviously, I'd be really impressed if you actually knew the specs off the top of your head.
I'm
but
pretty. I get close. Most of those two strokes are they're going to be around 30 foot-pounds. The nice thing about them, it can be a nice thing, but it's not always a nice thing if you don't know what a Newton meter is. But a lot of those older ones that have a spec printed on there, and it'll be in Newton meters. So, but the sequence is usually pretty easy. It's inside out. So you start on the inside bolts 1, 2, 3, 4, and go up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 ish. Probably 18. I think it stops at 18.
You got any good go-to places on the internet to really, if you're trying to find those older catalog or manuals or anything?
Yeah, there's a few places you can actually buy they let them sell the rights to the PDF, so but you got to pay for it. Sometimes you can get it, like if you look it up, it'll show a page, but it's not real clear. And if you click it, it'll take you to the little, lib, manual website, and then it says I want money.
God.
But sometimes they got it clear enough to where you could actually see the stuff, but it takes a little work. So.
All right, so it looks like an Avid question. Is the only difference between a Fusion and a Magnum the forward table? I'm gonna have to look. I think the beam's different.
And I can't. Do they have the seats up on the front?
Well, they also do the cushions.
The cushions on the front as well.
And I apologize that I don't have all those specs right off the top of my head. I'm sure if we had somebody from sales in here, they'd probably have it. And I imagine you got plenty of other things you memorize.
Well, I can see the Fusion in my head, and I know it's got cushions on the front. It's got the slide-in seats up front. It's got the table up
Yeah.
front. Um,
I think the mag. Let's. Let me. I'm almost there. Bear with me. Beams 101 inches on the Fusion. I thought. Okay. No.
I think
Yeah.
the Fusion is
Yeah.
is basically catering towards a full family boat.
Yeah.
So they were giving you basically the mag with all the cushions and the seats and the table up front.
Yeah. So the mag. Yeah. So the mag is basically a wider version of the FS.
Yes.
But
And the
yeah.
Fusion is they're fusing the mag and a family boat together. So I think that's kind of where they got that from. So.
And again, sorry, I don't have the specs memorized. We're more than happy to take care of selling you a boat, but our sales folks, they're intimately, they're more familiar with where things are. And honestly, it's been a long time since we've only got a couple Avids sitting here.
Does the wonder if the Fusion has the sea deck under the padding, or if it's just the rough?
I'm sure you can get it.
So there's another question.
But yeah, so that all of that to really say, if you really want some details on that, let's get you in touch with one of our sales folks, and they will absolutely. I mean, jump on the phone. They'll go through all that, or shoot messages here. We'll get you an email address, and you can go back and forth. And the other thing, well, actually, I guess you're in. You're in the Facebook group, I'm assuming, if you're asking the question. So there's a really good resource. I think we're about 3,000 people in that owners group, and everybody's been pretty helpful. So, all right, well, hope that helps in some way. Nope. I haven't seen the tunnel hole. That's a real interesting. They when they were talking about that, talking with the reps, it's been like close to a year ago. They were talking about that, kind of looking at designing something like that, and I think they were really focused on guys fishing flats and coastal stuff, which is really where they've really focused their efforts and thoughts on the bay boat. But that, I mean, depending on the performance of that thing around here, I think there'd be some folks being interested in that tunnel hole.
So.
You know,
were you here when the new Elite came through?
I was not.
It's a very sweet boat.
The 21-foot.
Yeah, 21-foot Elite. I love that.
Did you get to drive it?
No, he was just blowing through. But man, that thing is sweet. They just need to make it in a 20-foot.
Yeah, well,
I know.
I think since day 2 that we were carrying him, we've been screaming, "Make us a 20-foot with a 250.
Yeah.
It'll handle it."
So this one's wider. It's the back is different. Doesn't have a splash well. It's more like almost like a skeeter back there in the back without the sponsons. But I don't know. I was really impressed with it. For it to be, I mean, it was obviously it was a prototype. You know, there had a few rough edges that they needed to contend with. But he even told me, "This is a prototype. We got this out of the box. You know, we built it real quick so we could get some input." But it was impressive. And I did tell him, I said, you need to classify it, shorten it just a little bit, classify it as a 20-foot boat, because as you know, we sell 90% of our bass boats are 20-foot, maybe more.
Yeah, everybody wants that 20-footer with a 250.
Yeah.
Unless you go back to the ZX 250s from Skeeter. It's a 21-foot boat, and I have a hunch there's a good number of those that people bought because they put the 250 on the back.
It is, yeah.
Instead of
it was a less expensive boat. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump in. 2004 Yamaha F150 with 500 hours on it. Anything specific I should be aware of on that model?
Yeah, so there's a balancer on that engine that is going to break. It's not if, it's when. If your engine is, you may not even know. I don't know if you've come, with this motor second. I don't know if you got it second hand or what, but some people don't even know they have a bad balancer.
It's on a used boat he's looking at. So.
Oh, is you looking? Okay, so I don't know how to tell you other than if it's really loud, like making a kind of a roaring sound from the engine, and you'll kind of take the cowling off, you should be able to hear it. But the balancers had issues. Not that they were that big of an issue, but the fact that there's a balancer on there, that's another part that's going to break. And specifically, we would see it happen if somebody hit a log or a rock or something pretty good. Didn't necessarily damage anything else on the engine, but it has these little plastic gears in there that'll get damaged, and then if that gets into your oil sump, it'll essentially ruin the engine. So it's good probably to change those about every 500 hours. So other than that, being as old as it is, I've seen injectors, get stopped up, and those are pretty simple. You take them out, clean them, put them back in with new filters. And a lot of shops do that now. I don't know if it's something that you would do yourself. And then I would say timing belt. And those engines, if they're maintenance right and everybody and it's not in a really bad environment, then the timing belts can last up to 1,000 hours. So, but it's something that needs to be checked after you've got that much time on it, probably annually from now on. Wear. So, and the tensioner is usually what kills the belts. Right. Tensioners wear out. So,
well, Eric, I hope that helps. Not sure where you are. Of course, if you wanted us to take a look at it, and for those that are looking at used boats, don't hesitate to give us a shout and bring it by, and we can help go over the boat for you. All right. Some more avid questions. I'm gonna be impressed because I got no clue on this one.
I do, and yes, they stay on.
Do the courtesy lights stay on?
It's weird. So we've had a few people complaining. We've put them on a switch, but yeah, they stay on. I don't know what the idea behind that is, but most people turn the switch off anyway when they're not using the boat. So maybe they were thinking it's not that big a deal because everybody turns their switch off when they're not using the boat. And maybe that's a reminder at night if you pull up and you see those lights on, maybe it's a reminder, hey, go turn your switch off. Otherwise, your battery's going to be dead in a week. Good news is they are LEDs, so it shouldn't run the battery dead super quick if you left it on.
All right. I think I've only got a collective 14 or 16 minutes on one of the FS's on the water.
Okay, yeah. I probably have less than that. I see them internally all the time. I've got guys that run them for me, so
yeah. I mean,
unless there's a super crazy problem.
We shot some video on them, and I mean, of course, it doesn't take very long to be impressed with those holes. Yeah. Where's the best place to buy cylinder sleeves for 9760 Yamaha? Any idea?
I've put them in before, but I usually rob them out of something else.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So maybe give us any chance we'd have.
There is a place in Tennessee that rebuilds, and I think they'll put sleeves in.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it's on the 2012 Crest that we've got. That's a good clean boat up there.
Yeah.
Is that the one that doesn't? I don't think it's got a trailer with it. I don't know. Who are you talking to? Somebody from sales already? And curious as to why the 2012 would have a 2004 motor. Do you know off the top of your head?
I do. I know exactly why. Because the guy who had that 2004, or that he had a 2004 pontoon boat, and he wanted a new pontoon boat, and we put his 2004 on the newer boat. I actually know the guy who owned the boat, and he's a very picky person, so he took pretty good care of the boat. So that's the good news.
I'm sure there was probably some discussion of you realize you're devaluing the boat a lot faster by putting an old motor.
It does, but when people, it's like it's the old saying, the heart wants what the heart wants. And when somebody says, I want to pay you this money for this boat, but I have an engine back here, we'll do it.
All right.
You know.
Well, I hate to hear that. So if you, Eric, if you can message, if you head over to our Facebook or shoot an email to Michael, Michael, at bucksisland.com, I will personally go grab one of the sales folks and have them get in touch with you. And whether you want to do a phone number or email or anything like that, we'll find somebody. But yes, they are busy. I know this morning that we've had a number of folks coming in closing on boats, and I don't think anybody's really sat down today. So
yeah,
but we it should not be impossible to get in touch with them. That's not good. So we'll take care of that. Again, Michael at bucksisland.com, and we'll get that taken care of. All right. Any other? Another Avid question. All right, we'll run with the Avid stuff. The way the console is fitted into the boat is different. For this reason, we chose 21 mag over the Fusion. All right. So have you gotten the boat yet? Because I'd be curious what your thoughts are on the 21 mag. I know it's big.
I don't know if the balancer has been. It only needs to be changed if it's making a noise. So that's the good news.
All right.
And we can usually hear it when we do a trade check. So if it needs it during our trade check, then we would replace it. But if it's good, then and it's really only an issue if somebody's hit something really hard. That's what breaks the plastic gears, because those things are turning twice as fast as the motor is, so they're running a high RPM. And if you hit that prop on a log and it stops all of a sudden, it can usually shear those or cause them a little bit of damage and make them really, really loud. And so we keep an ear out for that stuff when we trade them in. So.
And there you go. So you don't have Facebook. Totally understand. Run into that pretty often.
I don't either. I have it. I just don't use it.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't if I didn't do it for a living. But yeah, there's my email address, and yeah, I will make sure to get a salesperson in touch with you and get information on that. But thanks for asking. No problem. All right. Let's see if I can find something interesting. Are you familiar with Saltaway? Ever heard of that?
It's probably something you flush your engine with.
Yeah, the question is, does anyone actually flush their engine with Saltaway? I'm a bit cautious on this one. Shout out to Bucks Island for helping keep us bass fishermen on the water.
We try hard. There's a lot of you, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of.
I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's a lot of guys that fish these days,
Yes.
Especially around this area. So I guess let's if nobody else has got questions, then let's talk about that flushing. I mean, I know obviously we don't deal a whole lot with saltwater, but I know we've got a few customers that'll drag their pontoon or whatever boat down to the coast every now and again. What's your recommendation? You're taking the family trip for a few days, and you're going to run it in saltwater.
The less obvious answer? Okay. I won't give you my obvious answer.
Don't go is not an answer.
Okay.
Their wives
I
will
didn't
not
say
let
it.
them.
I didn't say it. So I would say I do two things. Number one, I would when you flush, if you can get a water hose that's really long, okay,
All
that
right.
sits out in the sun that has water in it,
Okay.
and you flush that engine, and that water is nice and hot inside that hose, that thermal shock will break down that salt and dissolve it a lot better than if you start the hose and there's cold water in it. So if
Gotcha.
you're flushing after another guy, then that hose has been sitting there a while and getting heated up by the sun, then what you're getting a little bit of stuff off there, but the actual salt bonds to the metal. It can't help it. It just when the process starts, it bonds to the metal, and if it's not warm water, it's really not going to do a lot of good.
Okay.
So I'll start with that. Number two, if you flush it every day that you go in the water, and then when you get back, I would recommend probably taking it to the lake and just running it. I don't know if that does much good.
Yeah.
But it makes me feel better inside.
Yeah. Well.
So that's as
Well,
scientific as I can get with it.
Probably gonna get warmer water out of
Yeah.
Neely Henry right now
Right.
than you will out of your hose.
Yeah.
But interesting.
But other than that, I don't live in that world, so I don't profess to be an expert in the saltwater world. I actually don't want to be an expert, so people don't bring me saltwater stuff. I've had a few this year come in. One guy bought a boat from a rental fleet, and the trim was popping. But come to find out, the pin that holds the trim onto the motor
was made of corrosion.
It was made out of corrosion, so when it was trimming down, it was just stuck, and the trim was strong enough to force it down, and every time it go pop, 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 and he's like, "Can you fix that?" I was like, "Well, I'll look at it," and so I commenced beating that pin out, and I even used one of those impact hammer things. It really puts the beans to it, and it was a no-go, Joe. So I told him to come pick it up. Nothing I could do. Now, if you're in a position like that, you can always drill a hole. Try to, put a hole in there that maybe you could shoot some grease in it. But it's at that point almost impossible to do anything with. So, which is why I don't like working on it. I'm sure there's somebody in Florida that could have fixed that. Not me.
Huh?
Yeah.
Hey, at least you're honest.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, yeah. We only get. I've had a few folks that'll drag their boat down.
And some stuff's not terrible. I mean, we actually traded for a boat last week that's been in salt water, but I'm not a big fan of bringing those boats in because we're not super familiar with that stuff.
Well, and you're also got.
But when you look at it, you have to look at it as like, are these parts able to be removed? And if it hadn't gone far enough to where you can still work on it, then it's okay.
Well, the other funny thing is just the psychology of when we bring boats that have been in saltwater in our region and who most people deal with us, that freaks them out. Whereas if we were a Florida dealership, well, yeah, every boat's been in saltwater. It just is what it is. So.
And the good news is when we get that stuff, we usually lure people from the Florida region to buy them because they're used to that stuff. So.
All right. Well, guys, I kind of feel like we were a little all over the place. I appreciate the questions today. We answered a couple of avid questions. And Eric, let me check and see. Whenever you can email me, I'll get you a salesperson, and they will reach out to you however you prefer to be reached out to, and get you information and shoot. That boat's probably pretty much ready to go drop on the water, and they can get you out for a demo ride if you're really interested in buying it. So, all right. Well, anything else?
Stay cool.
Stay cool. Stay safe. Don't be dumb out there on the water. We want everybody to make it through the boating season so that we can work on your boats through the winter, and sell you another boat next year. So. No, seriously, guys, be safe out there. Make good decisions. Have fun with the family. Build the memories. And I imagine a lot of folks are going to be spending a lot of time floating, and not spending a fortune on fuel. But that's all right. Maybe
Just don't look at the pump when you're putting it in.
Well, maybe putting the trolling motor on the bow of the pontoon boat's looking better and better. So, all right, guys, y'all have a great afternoon, great week, and we'll see you again on the next one. Later, guys.